I think Nether is important because it is so very different from the overworld, both when it comes to visuals, but also when it comes to like gameplay. We can create a very unique experience for the players because we have this very unique environment to work on and to improve. When designing the Nether update, we actually worked with pillars. They both define the design vision of the update, but they also help us when we design features. Because we can just look at the pillar and see if the design we have in mind for a specific feature actually makes sense. The first one is that we want to give the players a Nether oasis. So for example, we add the respawn anchor so you can actually respawn in Nether. And we also made sure to make some of the biomes a bit less challenging. So for example, the warped forest can be seen as a Nether oasis because there are less hostile mobs there. It's not only that you can live in Nether. We want players to live in Nether, or at least want to spend a lot of time in Nether. And that also ties a lot to the biomes. Like there are lots of things to see. You get inspired to build because you see this really pretty or weird and exciting environment. The second pillar is that Nether should be alien. So what we really mean with that is that Nether should not be another overworld. It's very different atmospheres. Like even if the biomes, for example, look very different from each other, they all have this weird nethery feel. Like they would never fit in overworld, but in Nether they make sense. The last pillar is actually that we wanted to introduce the Piglins. Before, it felt like most of the mobs in Nether, all of them were completely hostile. But I think the Piglins are different because, they live in the bastions. It's clear they have a lot of history. It's clear that they have some kind of society. Like they really like gold. Why do they like gold so much? And you don't really know the history, but you understand that there is something, which I think is very inspiring.
One of the design goals for Piglins was to cater to different playstyles. For example, this is a bastion. This is where Piglins live. And you can, of course, conquer a bastion using force, but it's not the only way. If you learn how to gain their respect, you can come in and barter with them and gain really cool items without having to fight at all. Of course, while you're there, you can choose to go the sneaky route and go around a corner and steal their stuff and hope that they're not going to notice. One of the challenges with Piglins and Hoglins was to create a sense of ecosystem. Piglins hunt Hoglins for food. And how do we manage that power balance, right? We don't want, one side always wiping out the other side, for example. The most effective way to prototype that was actually using sticky notes and board game pieces where we literally role-played moving pieces around to explore different approaches. What worked best was outnumbering as a game mechanic. So basically, if I'm outnumbered, I flee, otherwise I attack. And because that can change over the course of the battle, that makes for some kind of crazy, interesting back and forth dynamics going on inside the hunts. Although Piglins can be dangerous, we wanted them to also be kind of fun and goofy sometimes. So we tried having baby Piglins play with baby Hoglins, like riding them, and it was actually really funny, like especially when we put them on top of each other and had them do the circus trick thing. We intentionally exaggerated it just to try the idea and had like 15, but then it would fall down and they would die, and we're like, it does kind of fit the Piglin personality, but it's maybe a bit too morbid, so we decided to introduce a limit of max 3 riders.
So one thing that I really love about the Strider is it reminds me of when I first saw the Creeper in Minecraft. I really enjoy the fact that we're adding creatures like the Strider that is so wildly different to everything else and has such its own Minecraft personality. If we just did a lava boat, that's not very surprising. That's not really a feature that feels unique to the game. It doesn't feel very Minecrafty. I was just so passionate about giving it this quirky animation and this quirky personality, like it kind of bobs side to side. And a lot of our other creatures don't really have a lot of animation to it, but the Strider, it just felt right. It felt like something that we could actually toy with and experiment with. So Crying Obsidian is really interesting. Essentially, at one point in a beta, I would say at least 10 years ago, I believe back then the developers planned to actually add Crying Obsidian as the solution to respawning. And instead, for one reason or the other, Crying Obsidian got scrapped in favor of beds. I realized that I really wanted to have like obsidian that was cracked because I wanted to make the ruined portals feel a bit more ruined themselves. And I thought, well, what if it wasn't cracked obsidian? What if it was crying obsidian? I know that the community has always wanted this. This is a fantastic opportunity to give them what they want. And that's kind of the birth story of the crying obsidian in this update.